Coming at you from the frozen tundra that is East Central Alberta, Canada, streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, Float, Odyssey, Telegram, and Twitch. Welcome back to the workshop where we create community, find freedom, promote preparedness, and share success. I am Toolman Tim, and today is August 20th, 2022, whole bunch of twos there, and this is episode 157 of the Workshop Podcast. Now, if that number sounds strange to you or out of order, I'm going to explain that in a minute. So yeah, how is everyone? What a beautiful, I know I'm indoors right now on a beautiful, sunny summer Saturday. Too many S's there. I will be outside working on my big deck project that I started yesterday when this episode is over. But I wanted to get in here and have a great episode with you guys today. It's my nephew's 9th birthday. They're coming over tonight to have a big party, big old shindig for him. So I figured, hey, I'll still give you guys a live episode, just going to be earlier in the day. So I apologize for the weird scheduling. I know occasionally we have these Saturday morning episodes, and it's great to be live with you every time I can. And I see Martinson family in the comments. How are you this morning? Beautiful there too. I know it has been basically 30 degrees Celsius, which is the high 80s, low 90s for about two and a half weeks now. So it's been warm for us. So let's get our housekeeping out of the way. First, this is the one you guys all know, Patch of the Month Club. So if you haven't signed up yet and you're interested, open to Canadians, Americans, I send it out in the mail once a month. The first patch is going to ship the first week in September. I'm rather excited. Just got the third one coming in it's been finalized and ordered. Should be shipped right away. We'll have the third patch for you, but I'm not going to unveil that. That'll come in the mail as a surprise. So that'll be kind of exciting. So yeah, that is at patchofthemonth.co. Now, number 2, this is kind of just an odd one. You might notice I had a review yesterday on Friday. I'm going to go back to 2 reviews a week for the next foreseeable future. It's going to be a tool kind of review on Wednesday, and then more like a kind of a preparedness review on Friday. So you saw yesterday I had the Jace case. I've been getting a lot of products sent my way recently, and I've been picking up a lot of really cool stuff, and I really want to get it out there and share with you. So for the next little while, there'll be a second review video on Friday. And Chris Dixon's in. How are you, buddy? Says, I'm going to enjoy the break in mid-80s today. Absolutely. Yeah. It's going to be hot. It was hot yesterday too, but that's a whole nother story. We're getting real close to 5,000 subs on the YouTube channel. By the looks of things, within a week or so. I didn't really plan anything exciting or a giveaway or anything, but if anybody has any suggestions for something there, hey, we can do it. I'm always game. But yeah, 5,000 is a huge milestone for me. When I remember, it wasn't that long ago that I think I had 80 some subscribers. And like I said, I think it was Mom and Becky were the only ones watching my videos. So today's tool, guys, is the Toughbuilt folding Sawhorses. They are the literal workhorse whenever I am outside doing big jobs. So yesterday, I just smacked 20 boards down on top of those Sawhorses, butt all the joints up, measure once, cut. I think with my saw, with 1-inch boards, I have to cut through twice. So yeah, you can save so much time. Saves you from bending over at the back, allows you to work up at waist height. Everything is just so much easier. You get asked quite often, how do I get my the decks that I build done really quick? Probably my secret is solid Sawhorses. These things are incredible, and they let me work up at a comfortable height. You don't have to be down in the ground, bent over, trying to cut something every time. And it allows you to do repetitive cuts. And like I say, when you're trying to get a job done efficiently, for me, the best way is to repeat one process all the way through. So make all your cuts, then do all your screwing, do all your lifting, break it down into segments. And Sawhorses, to me, the best way to do it. Anyway, there we are. So I was putting together notes for the show yesterday, and I hadn't done kind of a this week in the workshop segment in a while. I was kind of excited to do one because I've had a lot on the go, but I thought I would kind of break it down just a little more. There's the possibility, I don't want to tease you, it's a possibility this could be a slightly shorter show than normal. So if you're anxious to get back out in the heat, just let me know. You can always put me in your pocket and listen as you walk too. So I figured I'd fill you in on a lot of the things that I had on the go this week, or the last 2 weeks probably, and some of the lessons that I learned along the way. Some good, some bad, and some just make you feel really good about learning a new skill. Because for you, if you guys know me, one of the biggest things is if I'm not learning, I have a problem. I have to be learning all the time. I have to be learning something new, and that can be good things. You know, you can learn from positive experiences, and you can learn from negative experiences, and a little bit of everything in here. But I figured the easiest way to give you guys a weekly update on what's going on would be to tell you what's happened and some of the things I've learned from it. So first thing this week was really cool. I got an email from the CMO. So that's the Chief Marketing Officer of Fountain.fm. So first off, if you guys aren't on Fountain, I would suggest checking it out. Not just because I say so, but because it's a damn good app. I love the interface. I love the way it works. It is Podcast 2.0, I believe it's called. It runs on the Lightning Network. There's so many cool things about it. And I don't know all the technical know-how behind it, but I'll explain a few things. When you use the app, you can earn Bitcoins, or the smallest denomination of Bitcoins, which are sats or Satoshis. You can earn them. You can support your favorite content creators that you love by setting a little stream. So I have it set up, I believe it's 4 sats per minute. So every minute I listen to somebody's podcast, it supports them with 4 sats. Then you can send them little text messages called boostergrams, and I think minimum's 10 sats for that. Anyway, the cool thing is I don't want to call it a self-contained ecosystem or a financial system, but it allows you to earn and send Bitcoin. That part's pretty cool. But what I like about it more than any of that is just the solidness of the platform. I used the Apple podcast app for 8 years. Back when I was big into comic books, I was listening to a lot of comic book podcasts and a lot of Kevin Smith stuff. And I've been on the Apple podcast app ever since. And I swapped over to Fountain. And I've tried. There's a lot of programs out there. You know, I got to say, I really wanted to get out on pre-search all the time. And I just couldn't get it to become my default. Every time I wanted to search, I was still going to Google. I don't know why that is, but for whatever reason, Fountain has made it simple. You go over there, everything's intuitive. I love the way it works. It's not perfect. It has some bugs. It needs, some things fixed, but I would say from the time when I was back on Float, when Float first started, and I got onto it there a couple of years ago in December, they were way further behind at that point than Fountain is right now. So I really love the program. I really love to support them. So yeah, they've got a lot on the go. Trying to fill you in on what I found out. Looks like they're going to try to come on the show in September to explain a lot more of this than I can understand to you. So there you go. There's that. But yeah, they've got a couple neat features in the pipeline. One of them is going to be they're going to have a bar, and it's basically going to rate how active you are on the app. And so the more active you are, the more sats you're going to be able to make. And so the cool thing about that, 2 things. Number one is you're going to be able to, the more you're active on the platform, the more money you're going to make on the platform. But what that also does is it helps cut out the spammers. And for me, that's been my biggest concern about this program is, do you guys remember back in the 90s when they used to have these, if you click on this ad, or you could sign up for this website and you'd click on these different ads, and each ad you clicked on, you'd get a couple of cents. Well, it was pretty quick. We figured out that you could just download this program. It would record your mouse and it would click on these banners, and it could do it while you weren't there. So my big concern, of course, for Fountain is what's keeping bots from listening to podcasts and earning sats and then cleaning them out of their money. And so, I was worried about that. So this is going to be one of the implementations they're going to put in to keep people honest and to allow us real people to make money while keeping the bots and the Filipino princes and all that out of there, the scammers, right? So that's really cool. I asked them about their stance on free speech, and it should go without saying that they're very pro free speech, which is great. And I asked them as well about how they're going to make money, and they spent a lot of time telling me about that. And to me, it made me feel good, because you don't want to jump onto an app and support an app if they're, as soon as they run out of venture capital money, they end up having to fold up and go away. So to me, that meant a lot. I said, how are you guys planning on making money? And for them, two things that they mentioned. Number one is their premium service. They're working on adding extra features to the premium service, which is great. A certain percentage of users are going to do that. But what I like is the other mention they said was every single transaction that happens through Fountain, a small percentage goes to them. I think it's 1% or 2%. Somebody who knows a lot more than me can explain it. But to me, that made me really, really happy because they don't hate money. They're out there to make money, and they're able to get a small percentage of your transaction, because that's always my biggest fear is you hop onto these new platforms, you support them, you love them, and then as soon as they run out of the money that they got last time they went to a venture capitalist, well, we can't support it anymore. Something needs to be self-sustaining. The only way for it to be self-sustaining is for it to make money. So Fountain FM, if you're not checking it out, take a minute and check it out. It meant a ton to me that one of their founders, one of their workers, was willing to reach out to me after they listened to my podcast, my experience with Fountain so far, and wanted to just have a Zoom meeting, a half-hour chat. It meant a lot, and now I'm able to test their beta apps, and that was kind of cool. So anyway, that was my experience with Fountain. So far, so good. I really love the interaction I'm getting over there. I've been running promotions over there. I think it's turned into about 10% of my total traffic for the podcast. So anyway, if you haven't checked it out yet, do yourself a favor, go check out Fountain. To be honest, it's simple. It works. It's easy. It's intuitive. And it took the place of my Apple podcast app like that. And now I'm using it. So we'll see. Number two, or the next thing I did, something simple as cleaning barbecues. Oh, you know what? Before I go on, Aaron popped in here, said, I like the clip feature. I should mention the clip feature. You're right, Aaron. That is probably the best feature of Fountain. If you're listening to a podcast you absolutely love, and somebody just spit straight fire the last minute or whatever it was, you can just go in, hit clip. It'll transcribe the entire episode for you. I love that feature. Turns it into a text document. You select the block of text or 2 blocks you want, turn it into a clip, give it a catchy name, and then Fountain does the thing that Fountain does and then promotes it in the clip section for you. So it's kind of like a TikTok for audio. I love it. It's great. It's a good way for me to promote my podcasts. But then they also, which I just discovered, Erin figured that out. She did really well with that. You can export that audio as a video, and it gives you one of those nice, shiny, good-looking audio templates. It has your graphic in it and then kind of an equalizer. Turns it into a shareable video for TikTok, Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, and YouTube Shorts. So check that out as well. Definitely worth it. So next, cleaning the barbecue. I've done 2 episodes lately, one on fireside freedom, one on Thursday evening preparedness, all about the fall, preparing for the fall, not the collapse of civilization, but autumn. And I figured if I'm going to talk about that, I better start getting some of my maintenance done too. I've been a little slow on keeping my grill cleaned this summer. It's been, I don't know, just put it off. I'm not sure why. So when I was at Princess Auto the other day, which is the closest we have to Harbor Freight up in Canada, I ended up picking up a new barbecue cleaner called Mean Green. Now, first off, a couple quick thoughts on that. First thing is, I always love oven cleaner. The more caustic, the better. That seems to be the only thing that's ever worked for me on a barbecue. Now, number 2, my buddy Ed Shaw, he's a radio guy. He's probably, one of the guys that's kind of inspired me to do this kind of show. He mentioned he tried a homemade oven cleaner last week or earlier this week, just so I would know, and it failed miserably. So it was supposed to be an all-natural kind of oven cleaner thing, and it didn't work at all. So it's good to hear reports on that. Now, this Mean Green product, I got to say, it's probably halfway in between, somewhere in between. I don't know. Did I like it? Did it work? Kind of. Somewhere in between. It was just kind of, all right. So it definitely did not eat into the grease like oven cleaner does. That was kind of frustrating. Honestly, it worked about as good as Spray 9. So you spray it on there, scrape off the grease. I wasn't real pleased with it. I'm going to go back to oven cleaner. Wear gloves. When you're cleaning a grill, always wear gloves because you're going to get grease over everything. I'm going to recommend wearing safety glasses or sunglasses or something when you're working with those kind of products. I don't always do it. I really should. And you guys are probably, at some point, you're going to be like, yep, Tim, you're an idiot. You should have worn safety glasses, but we'll move on from that. But yeah, so it was okay. If you're looking for a less caustic, more environmentally friendly product, you could try it. But I needed to use multiple applications with it. Anyway, got all that cleaned up. I went out and finally picked up some of those disposable grease trays, the little foil aluminum ones, so I can just throw them out because I'm always having trouble getting water in those and then the grease running over down on the floor and on the deck. So anyway, just a reminder, friendly reminder, fall is coming. It's way better to give your grill a good cleaning now than to wait till the middle of winter and trying to clean it when it's freezing outside. Just so you know. All right. Number 3, patches and stickers. So you guys know the Patch of the Month Club. You're probably tired of hearing me talk about that already, but I ain't going to stop anytime soon. Couple stickers, StickersU, so stickersyou.com. They have been great. I just ordered a bunch of stickers. You'll see I got a bunch of the been prepping since Y2K, and I got a new QR code sticker. So you may or may not see some of those in your packages when they get sent out as well. Wanted stickers to send or to take with me to the different speaking engagements I'm going on. But if you're looking for a company that does great work fast, and for even for Canadians coming out of the States, not so bad. Now, patches. I found a company in California, and I'm going to see if I can find what they were called, because they are just absolutely, their name is qualitypatches.com. They just made, I don't know if you saw them, but I got 100 of those die cut workshop patches, and their quality is next to none. You're not waiting for it to ship from China. You're not hoping the quality is going to be good or bad. They send you a perfect little, they do up a test patch, and then they send you pictures of it so you can actually see how it looks. And if there's a problem with the text, they're going to tell you. Anyway, they're awesome. Yes, Chris says, love Sticker U. They're great. And the patches, oh my God, the patches were just beautiful that came from them. So they're going to be my patch supplier for the next while. So if you're looking for somewhere to get patches and stickers, those two companies have been great to me. And you got to spend a little money to make some money. You got to spend money to promote yourself. So I've been taking some of the money that comes in from the YouTube, the ad revenue, and I've been turning it back into things like promoting the podcast on Fountain, buying stickers to give away, buying patches, investing in more patches so that we have enough to fill all the orders for the Patch of the Month Club. And then at the end of the year, whatever patches are left over, I'm going to put them in a grab bag, and I'm going to sell the grab bags as a surprise. So you guys keep an eye out for that as well. But yeah, those are the way to go for sure. So I haven't been talking a whole lot about this part yet, but I'm going to mention it a little bit. If you guys know Tactical Response down in Camden, Tennessee, they're in the same town as SOE, where Self-Reliance Festival is going to be. So I'm going to go down there. I'm quite excited. It's been quite a process as a Canadian to sign up and pay for and have all the proper gear for this, but I'm going to go down and take some pistol and rifle training. And I'm really, really excited. I will give you guys a lot more information on it down the road, but it was a possibility I didn't even know was a possibility until I found out a little more information. So basically, I'm going to have to leave prepper camp immediately following. This was an opportunity I couldn't turn down. And I have some friends I was supposed to visit in North Carolina, and it's probably not going to happen now. I need to apologize to them because the schedule is going to be hopping. It's crazy. So basically finish up Sunday evening at prepper camp, drive straight to Camden so that I'm ready for Monday morning, 4 days of training, then Friday Self-Reliance Festival. So I'm going to make the most out of my time south of the border. Anyway, I will fill you guys in a lot more on that after the fact, but I'm really excited. So it's pretty cool. I really wanted to tell you guys ahead of time about William Fortune, the author of 1 Second After. It was really neat. I was excited. I reached out to him via email. I think I emailed him about a month ago, never got a response, sent another email, and he's like, hey, give me a call. I really wanted to tell you guys, but I was like, I don't want to tell you in case that it doesn't work out. But it was really exciting. It meant a lot that he reached back out to me specifically in person and had a great conversation with him. He's big into metal detecting, so I'd love to get him to tell some stories when he comes on as well about that, because I don't know about you guys, but I go down these YouTube rabbit holes once in a while where people are metal detecting or magnet fishing, that kind of stuff, and it's always really exciting. But it was kind of cool because the day that I got on the phone with him was actually the day that I finished the third book, the final book in his series, The Final Day. So 1 Second After is an incredible book, a great standalone book all by itself. And I read that back in like 2008, 2009, and then didn't even know, maybe there wasn't at the time, but if you didn't know, it is a 3-book series. There's 1 Second After, 1 Year After, and then The Final Day. I want to say those are the right names. So I tried to listen to the second book in the series a while ago, but it had been so long since I listened to the first one, I went back and re-listened to all 3. The final 2 books are great. Book number 3 is very much a lot of, conversations, 2 people standing there chatting, military strategy, but it has you on the edge of your seat. Book 3 could definitely be a movie. I mean, any of them could be a movie, but that series was good. So I think my guess is that when we finish the first 10 books of the Going Home series, I'm really hoping that we'll decide to do, although I guess I get to choose, but no, I'm going to put it out to the community. I'd like to do the 1 Second After series after that for the book series. So really excited. A little fangirlish for Mr. Fortune. It was kind of nice, but just got to remind yourself that you're just talking to people, normal, everyday people. And yeah, it was great. I had a great conversation with him. So excited that he agreed to come on the show. I hope it's good for everybody, but here's one of the lessons I learned from that. Don't be scared to reach out. I think I'm going to do a whole episode or a segment of an episode on finding guests for your podcast. But don't be scared to do it. Reach out to people. If you think, oh, you know what, they'll never come on my show. Well, you're probably right because you're not going to reach out to them. But just because you think that, reach out to them anyway. Make a list. And I'll talk about this more down the road. But make a list of all the people you want to have on the show. And then reach out to them. You'll be surprised who gets back to you. And even say you take 10 people that you're like, oh, there's no way they'll be on the show. Reach out to all 10. And if you get one, holy crap, how excited are you, right? So just do it. Give it a shot. Go for it. So I was asked the other night after my Thursday episode, Becky said, hey, we got a bunch of butane cartridges for the Thermacell that are completely empty. Can you refill them? I looked, sure enough, we do. There's 13 of them that were empty. And they're not cheap. I think if I did the math, I think it's $20 or $25 for a 4-pack. So I filled 10 of them that night because I didn't find the other 3 till after I was done. So basically saved $60 for $3 worth of butane and 15 minutes of filling. Now, something I did notice on these, some of the new ones had extra plastic down in the hole where you had to pull out the pressure relief valve. I'm not sure if they put that in there as a deterrent or if it was just a manufacturer's flaw. But either way, the same process of just threading a deck screw down in there and pulling out that pressure relief valve works great. And so they still work good. I had 2 that were the second time I refilled them. They held up great. No leakage whatsoever. I'm putting a hash mark on each one. So we're going to see. I'm going to keep refilling and seeing how many times I can refill them without having any issues. A couple other things I've learned. Wear gloves when you do it. That butane is cold. It can numb your fingers. It's probably not the healthiest thing to have all over you. And be careful. I need to figure out a way, those stupid little plastic tips that go on the butane bottle, when you flip them upside down and push into the Thermacell cartridge, they always want to pull out. So if anybody has any suggestions on how to keep those stupid little plastic tips on the metal nozzle of the butane itself, let me know. But so far, so good. And then I got asked about the pads. Still working on refilling the pads. Josh, the Renegade Butcher there, he sent me a link a while back and said, hey, here's a link. Check this out. So the stuff that you put on the pads, the proper stuff, isn't available to just everyday average Joes here in Canada. It's kind of weird. So if you want to get it, a farmer has to pick it up. And anyway, that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. So I need to get some and retest the pads. Apparently there are some on eBay that are a slightly different size. A Instagram user mentioned them to me the other day. They called it the elephant or something, the elephant design. I can't remember. It's some kind of like Glade plug-in type device for for repelling mosquitoes. So if you're looking for something, that might be something to test out. I'm going to get some and test them out down the road. Chris Dixon says, like I always say, if you never ask, the answer is always no. 100%, my friend. If you want something, ask for it. I mean, be polite and be personable and go through the proper channels. But if you want something, ask for it. Because like I said, even if 1 out of 10 of the guests you want on your show or you want to interview or whatever it happens to be says yes, Well, you're going to be, you're not going to worry about the 9 that didn't get back to you. You're going to be excited about the one that said, sure, I'll come on. And then you build from there, guys. GRK screws. If you guys haven't heard of these, this is something else I learned this week, or first time I actually bought them. Now, they're not cheap, but they are the ones I bought are 6 inches long, 3/8 in diameter. They are a Torx bit. They're incredible. I've heard about them a lot, but I've just never tested them. So I had to go pick up a big playground set for Becky, and it is in 12,000 pieces over 5 boxes. Apparently, it's about a 2-day job. So what little bit of hair I have left will probably be gone by the time I try to assemble it. But the guys at the hardware store said, you need to give it some GRK treatment. And I said, what the hell is GRK? So he took me over and showed me. And so they're long 6-inch bolts. They have a relief cut into the bottom of the screw so that it pulls chips out of the material so it goes in properly. Completely self-tapping, so you don't have to pre-drill at all. They're like a lag bolt, but stronger. You can drive them with a regular impact driver. They have a big washer, beveled head on the top, so they bite into the wood. They have the typical shaft on them is thread-free, but if you come down a little bit, there's a spiral that helps chomp out the sawdust or the chips that are in there. So it helps suck that bit down, or the screw down beautifully. So if you guys are looking at something new, I haven't tried it yet. I'm gonna. So this is not an endorsement, but I thought I'd share with you. They're really cool product. I will get some pictures up on social in the next couple of days, and I'm definitely going to try them. Always looking. You know what? What do they say? You can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, I think the only dog you can't teach new tricks to is a dead dog. So let's try some new products. I'm always looking for something new to try. Always looking for a skill to learn. So you know what? I'm going to try them. If I love them, great. If I don't, well, that's okay too. But from what I've been told, they beat the hell out of lag bolts every day of the week. Now, the next one, this one I'm really proud of. Skid steer. We talked about that last week a little bit. So if you want to learn something new, don't be nervous about it. For a couple of years, I just never went and got a skid steer because I was like, how, honestly, the biggest thing for me was I didn't want to look like an idiot pulling it out of the driveway at the rental place. But you know what? I need to listen to my own advice. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I went up, talked to them a little bit, and they're like, oh yeah, here it is. This is how you go. And it was worth it. 3 days of stress-free training. I just used it in my backyard, in my driveway, and it was great. By the time I was done, I wasn't an expert, but I could actually get serviceable work out of it. Just do it. So the very first evening, I was getting the gravel packed in right up against the fence, and it was still really soft. And I was starting to get real close to the soft area, and I could feel myself sinking in. So I knew what was happening, but I wasn't a good enough operator to get out of it. So I did what I thought I could, backed up a little bit, ended up sinking in even further. So I had to go in and get Becky, and we put the tow strap on it, and she pulled. I was actually impressed that Ram 1500 pulled it out, but we got it out of there without damaging my neighbor's fence. That was my big concern because I thought, boy, we could be in trouble here. I was in a tight spot, but you know what? We figured it out. We fixed it. The skid steer beat the hell out of me, but I was really proud of myself because I just spent a lot of time. And the reason I share this stuff, it's not a humble brag situation. I just want other people to feel empowered to jump out and try things that they're uncomfortable with. They don't know what they're up against. They're like, it's the unknown, right? You've never used something like that. So just go, spend a couple $100, rent one for a day or a couple of days, bring it home, learn a new skill, and then go make money with that skill if you're interested, or just save money. I mean, I don't know how many hours and how much time I saved by renting that skid steer and learning that skill. So again, just be excited to learn things. It's okay to be nervous when you're looking at picking up a new skill, but just do it. Don't let that stupid, oh, but I don't know how to turn it on and back it out of their driveway, whatever. Yeah, just go do it. Learn it, and you'll get there. Absolutely. And Martinson family says hard on the lower back, especially you being a big guy. Oh, man, I want to tell you, that thing bounced me around like nothing. Every day I got done. And I wasn't on rough terrain, but skid steers, for the record, do not like bumps at all. So yeah, it beat me around a lot, but I learned a lot from it. So I was really, really proud of that. So here's the next thing. I wanted to share this quick little, I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to do a whole segment or maybe even a whole episode on reaching out to guests and building up your podcast, that kind of stuff. But so earlier this week, I took a day. I don't know, I call it my reach out day, whatever. About every quarter, I sit down because I try to book all my interviews 3 months in advance, which is whatever, however you want to do it. But I look ahead and I'm like, okay, I got the next 3, almost 4 months available for interviews. So I sit down and I start reaching out. So I'll tell you this process so that maybe it helps you a little bit. But if I had guests that were on, last time and I really enjoyed them, they really clicked with the audience, well, I reach out to them and fill them in. And then just take your time, make a list of the people you want on your show, and then reach out to everybody. And you'll be surprised. I probably get 50%, 60% of people who respond and say, yeah, I'll be on. And so then you fill them in. So if you're wondering how a person does something like that, you have to earmark time for it. That's all there is to it. You have to sit down. You have to say, okay, this is it. I'm going to spend a day and I'm going to reach out to everybody I want to have on the show and just knock it out of the park. And then send it out and then forget about it and then respond to all the emails and book them in. And you'll be surprised how fast you can fill up a schedule that way. But just schedule a time. And that's the same as whether you're building your website or you're building YouTube content creation, whatever it happens to be, you got to earmark the time. So if you can find yourself a day or a half a day or 3-4 hours where you can just focus completely on that project, you will be surprised. I mean, 3-4 hours once every 3 months to reach out to all those guests, that's worth absolutely everything to me. So yeah, do it. Make yourself some time. If you're thinking about it, just do it. And you have to invest time. And sometimes you got to invest some money if you want to build something great. So just for the record, Chris says, ask the rental guys. Most of them are great. They want your money. And so they'll usually take a bit to give you the rundown, no problem. And he's right. And they also want to protect their investment. So they're going to teach you. But yeah, just ask questions. That just be open to learning, ask questions about how you're going to use an item, and don't feel like an idiot because, if you don't ask the question and you end up breaking something, then you can feel like an idiot. So ask the question. I've shared with you guys a lot, just another lesson for you. If you're not using Fiverr and you want a way to expand whatever you're doing. So this week, Becky wanted a couple of flyers built for her for the daycare, one about how they bought the building, all that kind of stuff. In the past, I would have taken 4 or 5 hours to design a serviceable flyer in, say, GIMP or Photoshop or something like that. And when I was done, I'd have been ugly, I'd have been mad, frustrated. It would have taken me, like I said, 4 or 5 hours, and I wouldn't have been real happy with the product. So now I just say, hey, hun, give me a summary of what you want, a paragraph or whatever. Then I find somebody on Fiverr and I send it off to them. Let them do it. I think it was $18 to have this flyer built. I mean, that is worth every penny. So if you guys are looking to outsource things that you want done, but you just either don't have the time or the skill to do it, check out Fiverr. I use it all the time. Last night, I got a comment. I always love comments from Chicken Hawk. If you're not following Chicken Hawk Farmstead, check him out on YouTube. He's awesome. He's a good buddy of mine. Anyway, he sent me a note and he said, hey, I love that new graphic. So I have this graphic. It was Becky's idea. It's the Toolman Tim seal of approval. So if it's a product I like, at the end, you get a big shotgun sound and this graphic shows up. Fiverr, I think it was like $20 and it was done. I don't even know where I would have started with that. I don't have the time or the ability or the interest to sit down and try to build something like that. So I outsource it. And again, you got to spend a little bit of money, but Fiverr is really, really inexpensive to me anyway, I find. Here's another thought or another interesting thing. You guys ever look down at the sidewalk and you see ants? Of course you do, right? Well, years ago, I remember seeing a bunch of ants. They were dragging a honeybee or a great big bumblebee. Huge thing. There was about 2 ants and they were dragging it. Anyway, the reason I bring that up is I was over at the 12 unit the other day. And again, here's this dead bumblebee and you got an ant dragging a bumblebee. How persistent does that poor ant need to be? Where in the hell is he even taking that bumblebee to? But he is working like nobody's business. If I remember correctly reading before, that's like us dragging a bulldozer. So to me, that's a huge lesson in persistence and knowing what you can do. I mean, this poor ant was right in the middle of a sidewalk. Who knows how far he had to drag that bumblebee. But he said, you know what? Damn it. I'm taking this home because my kids can eat tonight. And he was dragging that damn bumblebee as far as he possibly could. I had to take a picture of it so I wouldn't forget. But I just wanted to share that with you because every time, ants blow me away at the amount of work they can get done with their small stature. So don't let things get in your way simply because you're like, well, that's too big of a project, or I'm just too little of a person. It doesn't matter. No. Get out there, be that ant, and drag that damn bumblebee right across the sidewalk if it takes you all day and all week and all month. Whatever it takes, get that bumblebee home, and whatever your bumblebee happens to be, right? Something else I learned this week: brass PEX fittings are not as reliable as you might think. So the place where my son rents is a property that I look after on occasion. So they'll call me when something breaks. The town called me, said, hey, this place is using way too much water. What's going on? We go into the basement. Ken Ash, hey, Ken is over on Telegram. He says, be like the ant. And he spelled it B-E-E. That's a good one, Ken. I like that one a lot. So brass PEX fittings. I've used them, the crimp-on ones. This was not one I installed. It had been there for about 5-ish years from a previous plumber. Did an excellent job installing it. It literally disintegrated from the town water. I don't know if it's the calcium, whatever the minerals are, but it's one of those that it was a thread on with a compression fitting, and it completely chewed right through it and broke down, just so you know, okay? I mean, they are still good, but I could not believe it. I go down there, the entire thing had completely broke off, and water just spraying. It was like walking into a walk-in cooler. It was miserable. So we had to clean it up, fix it. But just so you know, brass PEX fittings, they're great. I've never seen one fail like that before, but this time it happened. Martinson family says, cut down that rubber tree. I love it. That is awesome. And Martinson family says, one of our kids' shows is about an ant and a rubber tree. I'll have to look into that. But yeah, ants are incredible, incredible creatures. It just blows me away at what they are capable of doing. The first time I ever saw it was in this massive parking lot. You know, it would have been, for me, probably 30 steps to walk to the side of the parking lot from where I saw the ant. You imagine how far he'd have to drag that damn bumblebee. But yes, be like the ant. Get the bumblebee home. Next thing. So, you know, I listen to Living Free in Tennessee quite often. Love Nicole. She's been one of my inspirations for podcasting. And they always talk about, you know, developing a local neighborhood and, you know, getting to know your neighbors. Well, I was absolutely guilty. I got to tell you this. So share my failings too. When we moved in, we've been at this house almost 3 years. And my neighbor directly to my north is an elderly lady, you know, seems nice enough. I never went once and introduced myself. You know, I blew off her sidewalk, put her garbage can back a couple times, but whatever. I just never went and introduced myself. And I kept saying, Tim, you need to introduce yourself. But you know how you don't do something for long enough. And so then it becomes one of those things. Well, I haven't done it this long. I can't do it now. So almost 3 years in. Anyway, I get a phone call the other day. And the lady said, hey, I'm your neighbor to the north. And I thought, oh, felt bad already. She said, I'd like to hire you to clean my windows. Sure, no problem. Well, we ended up having just a wonderful conversation. Turns out that my little 3-legged cat has been going to visit her for ever since we moved in. She said it was so perfect because just as we moved in, her cat passed away. She had no cat. She didn't even know Maui's name. She was calling him Bill. He comes over every morning, sits on her deck with her, and she feeds him treats. So that explains why he's getting fat. But what a sweet lady. It was so nice to talk to her. And I just never talked to her because I never talked to her, if that makes sense. I always thought, oh man, if the weather gets bad or if the power's out for a long time, I'm going to go check on her. I'm going to go introduce myself. I just never got around to it. No excuse, just put it off. And then she called me. We had a great conversation and I was like, oh yeah. So sometimes you just don't break the ice and you leave it there and you just don't get to it. Well, break the ice, get out there, talk to people, get to know your neighbors because they're going to be the ones that might need help. If something bad ever happens, you've got a prolonged power outage, bad snowstorm, whatever it is, just reach out. And if they're not personable, well, you tried. But I just put it off. I was so happy that she finally called. I should have done it myself. I didn't. One of my failings. But now we have an open line of communication. I'm going to clean her windows for her. Anyway, it's just great. Makes me happy. How about building the deck? This has been I think it was Yozik over on the Telegram group said I should take my deck building on the road. Well, by the time I'm done, I'm going to have that whole deck, the entire yard decked in. But a few things that I learned doing that, and I've mentioned it a few times, but repetitive actions save you time. So stack your wood together, cut through it all at once, move all your wood at one time. Something that I learned recently that I love doing now. So what I always hated hanging joist hangers, because I would put the boards on and then I'd get down on my butt right to the ground and put the joist hangers on. Well, guess what? You don't have to do it that way. So what do I do now? I measure my stringer for my joist hangers, figure out exactly how long it is. Then those buggers go up on the Sawhorses, and then I mark out my joists, and then I put all my joist hangers on the board. I'm sure this is not a brand new revelation for anybody, but for me, it was huge. Saved me so much time. So I do them at home in my garage, get all my joist hanger sill plates put together and ready to go. Then I take them over and frame up the square of the deck. Then I pre-cut all my stringers. Anyway, that was huge for me. Something else I learned to save time. It sped up my process. It made the old back, loved it way more. But anyway, always look for areas to improve. You know, what is the 1% increments, whatever you can do. I've always been that way. I've always looked for efficiencies. If I'm taking a path somewhere, I always look for a slight corner that I can cut, or this that I can be a little more efficient with. So when you're building projects, the more you do them, the more you're going to figure out. But yeah, try to find that kind of stuff. Multiple cuts, or, you know, cut multiple boards at one time. Do all of one task at one time, and then find ways to speed up, make things easier on you and your body. So here's a cool little story. Thursday night, when I was getting ready to upload my episode, I ended up going into YouTube, and I realized I hadn't added some of them to the playlist lately. So I'm going back, and I go back. You guys remember when Letty Lou was on for the Death and Dying episode? I'm scrolling down and I see 136. Somehow back about 20 episodes ago. So this was kind of funny. I ended up double numbering. So I ended up having two 136s in a row. Don't know how I did it. So that means that every episode for the next 20 episodes, the numbering has been wrong. So if you guys, if you're out there and you're going back listening to older episodes and you wonder why I said this is episode 155 and it's numbered 156, because I fixed it. I took an hour, because I'm kind of anal with that kind of stuff. Went through, renumbered everything on YouTube and renumbered everything in the podcast feed. Now it's all back to right. So if you're wondering why we skipped the number, we really didn't. It was just getting the numbers back into place. So look for that kind of stuff. Maybe it doesn't matter to some people, but for me, it does. I like to have all my numbers in a row, and it was kind of funny. So I took the time, I fixed it. There you go. And let's close with this interesting fact. I told you today would be a little shorter episode. I appreciate you guys coming in on a Saturday morning. I'm anxious to get out and build that deck. Something totally unrelated to what we've been talking about. But we're talking about things we learned this week. Now, most of my audience would remember cassette tapes. I'm sure you would. And for whatever reason, I'm a big geek for watching retro tech videos on YouTube. Things on VHS, cassette tapes, records, whatever it happens to be. Now, as a kid, you always remember you get to the end of that cassette and you had to flip it over. And they always said you're flipping it over to play on the other side, right? Now, maybe nobody else cares about this, but this kind of blew my mind. As a kid and as an adult until this week, when you said flip that tape over to the other side, for whatever reason, I assumed that there was recordings on both sides of the tape. What I discovered was they're not. They're on two sides of one side of the tape. Not sure why that blew my mind so much, but there's 4 tracks on a cassette tape on the top where the head reader. So all you're doing is flipping it and it's reading those top 2 tracks. You flip it over, it's reading those bottom 2 tracks. It never reads the inside of the tape. You're probably like, Tim, why are you talking about this? Because it blew my mind. I don't know why. It was just a really interesting fact that was so stupid. You know how your mind always gets into something and you're just stuck there? Like when I was a kid, I thought all cats were girls and all dogs were boys. Yeah, that kind of thing. So anyway, that was my useless fact that I learned this week that I wanted to share with you guys. Because I really thought they brought the tape came out and it read the inside of the tape or the outside of the tape. So if that makes your life slightly better, or you smile, or you turn the episode off right there, well, I had to share it. It was pretty interesting with me. So, all right, guys, 45 minutes in on a Saturday morning. It's a great episode. Thank you for dropping by. I wasn't sure what time we were going to do it, but I'm glad you guys dropped in. Always great to have you. I love it doesn't matter if there's one person in the audience or, a dozen or more. It just makes me excited to have a live audience listening. I love the interaction that we get. So do not forget, tomorrow night, 7:00 Mountain Time, I got John Willis from SOE coming on. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to talk about tools. It's going to be absolutely a great time. And I need to share this comment from Martinson family. She said, I once knew a girl who thought at 23 that cheese came from mice. We'll have to end there because that kind of stuff happens. I'm not sure how that happens, but it's some kind of mental connection that she made from stories when she was a kid. I don't know. Kind of interesting. You would need to milk a lot of mice to get any amount of cheese. Now, I hope that's a good clip for somebody right there. Anyway, guys, appreciate you. I'm heading outside to get shit done. I hope you head outside or inside or whatever. Have a glorious summer weekend and get all the shit done that you can. And as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great week.